All right, guys, we are back with a brand new video. I wanted to show you guys my mail that I picked up for November. Now, a few things. Number one, there's possible new discoveries in here, including a new discovery out of Cuba. Now, that's in the stack. I'm going to go over that at the very end. So that'll be just tucked away over there. I have my vintage Nonsports auction wins that came in, and I have so much over here. A few slabs. So let's go through all that before these slide away. So up first, we have these 4 cards right over here. So this was one of the wins from the vintage Nonsports auction. I believe these were Dockman's. Yeah, John Dockman and Sons. So none of that big names. Some of them are in poor shape. You can see some of that over there. But these do sell pretty well, and that's good inventory for my ComC store. So I looked at it from that perspective. Up next, we have these 18/69 praying cards. So I bought it for the grant, but you also have like the Presidential Life. So you also have Stephen Douglas over there, which is still a bigger name back in the day. But I didn't have this grant yet, and it's tough. Like from the sense of cards, I don't know if I 100% count this as like Grant's rookie card per se, but it is the first card that the grading companies recognize. There's other Grant cards from the 1880s that I would much rather have. There's like the N377, or yeah, I'm pretty sure it's N377. Beautiful imagery and everything like that. It's towards the top of my want list. But this is still there. Just to kind of check it off. But there we go. I still need to get the Lincoln from the set. It's escaped me, but I'm glad to grab this. All right, up next, and I thought that card was escaping me. Ripley's Believe It or Not. So not just the book, but actually some cards. What's cool in here is I have 2 short prints, and I'll probably have to get them graded too. So some of the higher numbers, like Faith Until Death, and then also the Academy of Poison are the short prints within the set. The others, I have to see if I'm going to get graded or not, if it's worth it. And you can just see some of the imagery on there. Sorry, it's a little hard to show all of this based off the camera angle. But yeah, we'll decide what's going on with that. All right. Next, some of these different flags. So I'll glance through these really fast, but you can see the little backs on here. Pretty cool. A lot of destroyed backs like this. I knew that some of these little bit of paper added or paper loss, some staining on it. But it did not buy a high grade on these. I mean, I bought them at like $2 or $3 a piece. So my goal on those were to get some of them graded if possible, and ComC the rest. So doubling down a little bit on some of the inventory on the ComC side of things. I do have to figure out some cash flow from ComC, but that'll be a story for another day. Because you can't win auctions like this currently, but they do have a partnership with eBay, so we'll see what happens over there. All right, and this is the last one over here. Great. Now, this is like a miscellaneous tobacco lot. So, Fear the Generals, which is a very popular set. Obviously, this one's trimmed all across. Winfield Scott's in here, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, it doesn't sell a lot, but still, for just a random tobacco sortage. There's those. More over here. I mean, I just love the imagery on this type of stuff. You just don't see this. He's I didn't even realize we had one of the Ginter Pirates in here. I didn't even look through all these yet. That's kind of funny. I lost my Blackbeard though. I wanted to get that Blackbeard in the auction. There's this. All right, I'll just show you really quick. This isn't a fully complete Felix Podin album, so I bought this. It's destroyed too. You guys can see over here. There's one page that I bought it. Now, unfortunately, all the good stuff's been cherry picked except for one card. I mean, there's a few other minor stars in here, but the reason why I bought it. So we'll take off this top page over here, and makes it super easy. It's here at the top. I've shown you guys Felix Podin stuff before in the past, so we're not going to go through all of this. But, oh, I guess it's a little stuck. Right here, Francis Ferdinand. His assassination led up to World War I. And here's the thing. This is a newly discovered variation of his. So I'll put the image on the screen right now of the other Felix Podin, and I've probably owned 10 of that. I have never seen this, or never even seen it mentioned online that this pose exists, or even in any pop reports. Only one that exists. I'm sure there's others that do out there, and there's still a lot more Podin stuff that will see the light of day. But an amazing find there, and that's the reason why I bought the album. So you can see stuff like Roosevelt's gone, there's no Major Taylor, Madame Curie was gone, and Monet was gone as well, but this Ferdinand. And it's a shame because maybe those were some variations as well. All right, so with those out of the way, let's take a look at a few other minor pickups. I will go through these small cards over here first. So these are just some music cards. Up first, we have Black Sabbath. Now, I already have a Black Sabbath in an 8. This one looked wicked sharp, so it's a shame with the centering. I don't think it will get an 8, but I think this back looks nicer than my 8. I mean, it has a little tip over here, but again, you're talking about colored border backs. So it'll still be a high grade. I predict probably a 6 or a 7 on this one. Up next, actually a modern artist. So this is Ghost. They're kind of like the Kiss of this generation. They look like a heavy artist, but they play like pop rock type music. So I wanted to have card number 1 for a while, and these were their first cards that were inserted actually in a CD. It was back in, I think, 2015 or 2016. I think it's a Meloria album. Has some very famous songs, at least on the rock side, things like Sir Rice and He Is, but it's the front of that, and it's a big puzzle here on the back. So not the easiest cards to come across, because you have to find that special edition album, which was distributed only at Best Buy. And I would assume most people threw away these cards. I do know another fan of the band that has some of his cards, but either way, there are those. All right, let's go through some of these different graded cards. I'm gonna just put these over here. So first we have Captain Kidd. I'm like 50-50 if I'm gonna keep this card or not. I haven't decided yet. But Pirates there. Types of All Nations, US here, and a 5. Jem Smith, Joseph Morsler. Another one, Captain at 2. Hiroshima. And also we have James Dean, 8.5. All right, next stack before we go into the Cuban cards. Oh, let me put this over here too. It's another pretty cool card. Over here, Ellen and Ginter, Joe Cotton, beautiful front, paper loss back, but still. Here we go. Nobel. So funny enough, I have this card already. I don't know if I have it graded or not, but either way. All right, up next we have Nobel. Funny enough, I do have this card graded. But I will be looking up next, Nobel. I don't know if I have this card graded or not. I have to decide what I'm going to do with this one. There's a few other cards that I'm trying to look for in this set, and maybe I'll just hold on to this so I can use it as trade bait in the future. We'll see. I picked up these really cheap. These are some Charlie Chaplin cards. Susini, so they were also out of Cuba, I believe. So pretty tough. Well, again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these as of yet, but for the price point I paid, which I was surprised no one else bid, I'll take that all day long. So we have some trade cards. I haven't taken this out of the package yet, so I do apologize. I can't show the backs on these ones. But we have a George Washington here on the front, followed by a Teddy Roosevelt Rough Rider. I thought this imagery was really nice. And I actually do have this card already, but it depends on the back. So like French trade cards, so one thing about like French trade cards to know is there's a lot of different backs on it. I think they're kind of like some of the different baseball sets where someone created the imagery and then licensed it out to different like bakeries or different businesses. And that's my assumption right now. But the tough part is like with the documentation on there, I don't really know if all that documentation exists online. If it does, let me know, because I want to research this quite a bit. But that's what I'm seeing still. And maybe I have to go and document it myself. Who knows? I doubt grading companies will grade this. Unfortunately, they should, because they grade all the different baseball backs and different things like that. Very hesitant with non-sports cards, which is a shame, but another story for another day. We have Abraham Lincoln over here. Let's see, this is just kind of like a very plain back, but still a pretty cool imagery of him. And this is like a bronze gold background. I know it doesn't really pick up that well here on the video. Another Lincoln card. So freeing some of the different slaves. And just like, look at that back. Okay. And like, so here's something interesting. Small versus large. I have no idea what's rare. I thought they would have been the same size. So you can see the back on here too. It is different. Different color, different printing. But I think that's Ben Franklin back there too. And some of our other founding fathers. The George Washington. Really cool stuff. And this is what I enjoy. I mean, off the beaten path, no documentation. I'll do research. All right. Let me take these out of the top loader. So grab those out. So this is a Wills card out of Australia, I believe, to my knowledge. So Wills made a lot of issues out of the UK, which are documented. The Australian issues aren't really documented that well. The reason why is they have like UK price guides. They have some of those Wills issues, not all of them. And I don't see a lot of good documentation coming out of Australia. I know there's good documentation on cricket cards, but not for non-sports. So it is what it is. But to my knowledge, this is 1910 Wright Brothers. So it's an early Wright Brothers card. One thing with the Wright Brothers is a lot of their imagery, which would make sense, right, is their airplane insets. And also aviation was really popular back in the day. In fact, some of you guys might know the Chickle set. Like, I wouldn't say it was as popular as some of the baseball Chickle sets, but it was probably up there because a lot of people view these people as like larger than life. And I get it. I mean, because think about how quickly that technology developed with airplanes. But either way, a very tough card to find of the Wright Brothers. I don't know if there are going to be multiple different brands. Capston's very common with some of the different cricket cards that I have, which is also a reason why I'm leaning towards Australian issue. And you can see some of the back albums for these pictures can be obtained. Oh, so that tells me that there's actually a lot of high grade ones possibly. What does it say on here? At 1 each through tobacconist. That's really cool. For pipe smokers is unequaled, also obtainable for plug form. A lot of advertisements on here. So yeah, if there's full albums, there's probably some nicer ones out there still, but like I thought this one looked really sharp. And I've never seen the card before or documented. So Susini over here. This is a Trispieker, or not Susini, sorry. This is the UK version of the Susini for Trispieker. The Susini are black colored cards. You'll see my Susini pickups in a second. This is from 34 or 35. I've owned a few of these. This was really, really sharp. This will be going out the grading. There are those. We'll just put these off to the side. This will also be going out the grading. This has been graded a few times. I think there's only 1 or 2 on the pop reports right now. And I know the other guys that own them. And so I know they're not moving it also. But this is technically the first Colonel Roosevelt card. Now, I will say the grading company's messed up again because they labeled something as a 1895 and used a Rough Rider image of Teddy Roosevelt. That did not exist. Again, takes 2 seconds for a research department. No idea why we just throw years on slabs and everyone goes with those specific years when someone can't research for 2 seconds. Like, when did the Rough Riders exist, or when did Roosevelt become popular? It blows my mind. But, and I talked about it also in my non-sports video that I did recently, but you can see the back on this one. It's a 1 or an A all day long because of some of this over here, like an indent over there. But like, good luck finding one, right? If there's 3 out there, I mean, I searched for this card for a while and I could not find it. There was like 1 full set that was broken up and I wasn't going to pay full set price just to get the Roosevelt. Although there was some pretty cool images on there in that set, which does include other like generals and colonels and military personnel, as well as in general, like some of the different ships through that war. All right, let's go into this side of things now. These are all keeping cards, which they're always pretty fun to talk about. All international cards are. So Steven actually picked this one up, and this was Drake over here. I don't know too much about him. I know he was one of the better players. This is late 1920s on this set. I believe it's an Aguilitas. Now, it's attached to an album. This could be easily soaked out, and soaking, I should mention to everyone watching this video, is perfectly okay with cards. So I know people talk about altering cards and different things like that. Soaking is a-okay. And in fact, I'd like to say a lot of the pre-war cards that you own or have purchased have been soaked from albums. So very, very common, and especially overseas too. Like, especially with Cuban cards and Venezuela cards, so much of that stuff is going to be soaked out of albums. Early 1800s cards, early 1900s, baseball, soaked out of albums. So it's been happening for a very long amount of time. People have their own techniques for that. All right, so this is the discovery. And also, I should mention that the collector that I was able to purchase these through is selling off his Charlie Chaplin collection. So if anyone's looking for some really rare Charlie Chaplin cards, he had, at the time before he started selling and piecing it off, the world's largest Charlie Chaplin collection. So some really rare and obscure stuff from the early 1900s, late 1910s, when some of the Chaplin stuff, I believe Chaplin's first stuff was 1915 or 16, all the way through 20s, 30s, 40s of them. Stuff from China, like really, really rare stuff. So anyone needs it, let me know. All right, let me talk about this discovery over here. And I'll give you a little bit of my background information that I know, that I found when I was purchasing these, but I don't know for sure. So check this out. Thomas Edison and Thomas Edison, no big deal, right? number 57 and 57 from the celebrity set. So the source that originally got the cards was saying that one of these Edison cards was issued in 1920 as a part of another set of like 60. I don't know if like the celebrities was a set of 60 or what. Susini, in general, the set has like 1,200 cards or somewhere around there, like a crazy amount. But the same number, the same back, I don't know. Like, I had not heard of any Susini variations or if they did a second print run. But also the 1920 date throws me off because we've assumed that all Susini cards were 1915. If you see what the Tris Speaker is, I have a George Washington that's been graded. That's also 1915. But what also is interesting too is I did some research on a Winston Churchill. There's like a Winston Churchill website out there that was talking about some of his early tobacco cards and trade cards. And they mentioned this Churchill card was from 1916. There's 3 dates now with the set. The grading companies are saying 1915. Whoever runs this Churchill site says 1916. And the collector who originally had these in Cuba, with this Edison itself, said 1920. I don't know if the full set was from 1920, but one of the 2 Edisons here was 1920. Wow. I don't know. And that is something I'm asking you guys. If you know more information about the set, let me know, because I see 3 different dates. Not that it makes the biggest deal based off of like first cards or appearances, but that's a big range of years. Should these Susini cards now be labeled like 1915 through 1920? I don't know. But 1,200 cards in that set. And this is a different set, right? So, I'm going to butcher the Spanish. Just roast me if you want in the comments. La Guerra Europa Album Universal. So there's those 3, right? These were the 3 that I wanted the most out of the lot. Well, I didn't originally know about the second Edison. The guy threw it in. But I originally wanted the Edison and Churchill the most because I love finding their obscure cards. Teddy Roosevelt. So I have a Teddy Roosevelt. This is going to get sent to grading. See what gets the higher grade. Keep the higher grade one. And then I have a few different collectors that do collect Teddy. So I'll sell it off or trade it towards a lot on that side of things. Napoleon stuff is surprisingly cheap. I probably paid the most ever for a Napoleon card for this one. But like, look at this image, man. And I will say the camera does not do these cards justice. If you see Susini's in person, you get wowed by them. Another thing is with Susini's, how they colored them. So some of the different colored cards were colored in person, like in hand and stuff like that before it distributed. So these weren't the best examples on that case, but like some of these images like really, really pop. So another in the celebrity set. And then I believe this is the unknown baseball player, not Murray, but I can't remember. And it's 203. So yeah, that was my mail day. Let me know what you guys picked up recently. And if you want to see more videos like that, let me know. I have a lot of fun making these.